What's up, guys? This is the money transformation 10 years later. It's not just about money, it's also you got to look good, feel good, smell good for the ladies. I personally, uh, I can't really smell myself. So, but around the house, I went and bought like a $25 stick of Armani deodorant. But this is not a bodybuilding transformation. This is a general life transformation. If you guys can see in bodybuilding, if you guys have seen my transformation video from 10 years ago, please go watch it. I will make another transformation video. Like, hopefully, you know, I'm trying to lean out, trying to get ripped again, you know, and I truly believe that I don't need anyone's approval to do that. You know, you see, in life, you come across gatekeepers and stuff like that, and people that you might have potentially like screwed over in the past. You know, I'm not sorry, not one bit, for anything that anyone ever has to say about me for the past like 20 years of my fucking life. When I was a kid, I fucked people over all the time. Lies and stealing and stuff like that. I would fuck over my best friend. But when I was 7 years old, I learned pretty quickly that that's not the way to conduct a business. I lost my best friend of like 4 years. Or maybe it was like 2 years, but at the time it seemed like we were like best friends for like 4 years. And and yeah, that's not how I conduct business nowadays. If it wasn't for karma, I feel like we would just stomp around and do whatever the fuck we want. But maybe even perhaps building relationships with people is more advantageous than being like a douchebag that just stomps around and has his way with the world. What happened was, back in the second grade or the third grade, maybe, my friend left his Pokemon binder over my house with all of his Pokemon cards in it. And I was like, the first thing I thought was, oh no, my friend left his Pokemon binder. So I sat on the couch and I was like, then I thought about it for a second. I was like, he wouldn't notice if I took like one card out of the binder And then what that turned into was like I literally took like 20 of the best cards out of his fucking binder. And Pokemon cards were a hot commodity at the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I mean, I loved Pokemon cards. You know, I loved the TV show. You know, like I said, if there's one thing I could say to my old friend, is just that's not how I conduct business nowadays. You know, for me, that was a very valuable lesson. But I think, you know, we both had to move on, you know, and that was just, and I just had to be the deliverance of us moving on from each other. And it was a valuable lesson for me. I don't really think about it all the time. I think about the bad shit that's happened to me all the time. I've done so few naughty things in my life, and that was one of them. And that was probably the worst thing that I ever did. Like I said, Pokemon cards were the shit at the time. That was like the number two most shittiest thing that I've ever done in my life. And I don't know what number one could have been. The number one most shittiest thing I've ever done in my life was like, what's the shittiest thing I've ever done in my life? I don't know. Generally being like a little bit shady, just a little bit shady, but I think most people are shady like all their fucking lives. Like just a touch of shade, you know, just a touch of shade, you know. And I pick that up from people instantly. I'm not too shady. It's just this is business, and I can't tell you everything I know about my business. And just, a touch of shade, And I get that from literally everybody. Very few people are just like good old boys. And you got me, where business is all about integrity and not fucking people over and stuff like that. I don't know who I ever really fucked over. I never really fucked anyone over that bad. Whatever little bit I did fuck people over, I got paid back. So, you know, was not the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life so far was being homeless. I was homeless for like 2 months. It was very traumatizing. And But I think like the worst moment of my life, which was being homeless, led to some of the best years of my life so far. The best years, well, the most productive and most successful years on paper, financially, some of the best years of my life. Like, living at home with your parents doesn't have shit on what I've been going through for the past 10 years, you know, or rather, 9 years. You know, I went on welfare when I was 22. I got approved for welfare. Went on food stamps, went on Section 8, and I'm like, for the next 10 years, I'm probably going to be on like Section 8. Got approved for Section 8 a couple of years ago. Uh, so I get Section 8, and I'm not currently in a Section 8 house. This is a house with 3 bedrooms that the government pays for me to live here, but other people basically live with me. Um, and that's kind of the deal. Is out of my welfare check, I get like $30 a week to spend on whatever I want, you know, and so, but this is my body. So, yeah, and the lats are there, so, oof. So, so yeah, Ugh. So my intellectual conquest, I'll probably be twice as smart as I am now, like by the time I achieve like infinite intelligence or relatively infinite intelligence, like rather like human intellect, all besides like the understanding of like the passage of time. If I live to be like 80, you know, I don't really understand like the passage of time. And I fear that I'll never fully understand like the magic of life. But, you know, I don't really believe in magic. I believe in choices. And I believe that we have to do what we have to do. You know, I believe that I'll achieve infinite intelligence, you know, when I'm 67, I'll be in like the 93rd percentile. I'll only have like 7% of knowledge left to go until I achieve infinite intelligence. And then when I'm 72, the only thing left that I'll have left to understand is what does death feel like? So I understand life like very well. I've understood like 50% of all of life, 56%, you know. I understand a lot about percentages and like the law of attraction and magic, and there it's not that fucking complicated, you know, but I can't talk about it because people might use it in the wrong way. I feel like pray for a deeper understanding and you will be given, you know, pray for a deeper understanding and you will be given a deeper understanding, but it's all up to your personal like I guess discretion of how you want to use it, because trust and believe, I've experienced this loud and clear that you're not the only fucking person in the world that also possesses the magic of life. You know, there's other people out there that have tools and mechanisms and weapons too, spiritual weapons. And nothing can really hurt you that bad because God, you know, wouldn't let that happen. And I wouldn't let that happen to myself. You know, um, And we make, like, I understand that I didn't make all my choices exactly correctly. You know, you always want to live your best fucking life. I live like almost my best life, but I chase money and, women too much. I chase money and women too much. I live like 93% of my best life. But with a lot of extra money and a few extra women, you know, I'm not a one woman man anymore. I lost hope in love, and that's a weak decision. But that's one decision that I could easily give up. So, in terms of bodybuilding, you know, and by the way, what do we get the muscles for, anyways, but to get the women, right? If you ask me, I could sit around like this for the rest of my life and I'd be 100% satisfied. But it's the fact that women want a certain body image. Women don't want to fuck me. No woman is fantasizing about having sex with me and my tits. But I think secretly, every man wants to look like me. So for me, women are not an object. You know, I don't crave for sex. I do masturbate to relieve myself, but I don't need female contact to be satisfied. Is a major difference from where I was 10 years ago. I stopped focusing so much on the exterior. Now I'm focusing more on the actuality. I had this image in my head of what I thought I wanted my life to look like, and as I learned more about what I really want, it's a similar image, but it's not the exact image of like it's like a similar image that I want to live, but it's not like the exact thing that I thought I wanted 10 years ago. I thought I wanted the body, the mansion. Any old mansion will do. I have like a very specific like requirement. For what I want my house to look like, what I want my life to look like. And I have a house picked out right now. It's only $750,000. Is one of the first houses I want to buy. And then I have another house picked out. It's in a gated community. For like, if I get famous, I'm going to move into that house. But for now, I'm in love with the house that only costs 750,000. Maybe build like a gate around the house, like Warren Buffett. You know, all right, so back to bodybuilding. There's a clear difference in my body now to where I was 10 years ago. I thought I had to eat more food to put on more muscle. I sure did put on more muscle, but I didn't need all that fucking food. Like, I was doing just fine with just my protein shake after my workout. You know, and don't go too crazy with your diet because then you start to lose muscle. That little pooch of fat on your stomach is always going to be there. I swear to God, it's always going to be there. You're never going to be ripped to shreds so that you see the veins in your fucking abs. It doesn't usually work that way for most people that aren't taking steroids. Bodybuilders and weightlifters, the differentiation is like a bodybuilder is formerly known as formerly as in like 10 years ago 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Someone who does whatever it takes to get as big as possible and as lean as possible. You know, back in the day, you had a lot of people that had a lot of size, but they didn't look good. They could lift a lot of weight. You had a lot of guys who were skinny that looked good, but weren't big. Then the easy route, no one can disagree that steroids is the easy route. It's much easier than the hard route. Well, the only route to getting as big as fucking Arnold is to take a handful of Dianabol every day, which is an illegal anabolic steroid that was developed for Americans by scientists for use in the Olympics, right? So that America could win the Olympics, right? Testosterone injections you can only get available from the doctor, right? And yeah, so with the advent of testosterone boosting supplements, you know, you can boost your testosterone temporarily and even permanently, but it comes with health risks, and it crashed my natural testosterone. So, yes, when I was taking anabolic steroids, I had a prescription from the doctor at the age of 20, 21, right? Um, you know, I couldn't get it in the United States, but I had like a pharmacy overseas write the prescription and just mailed it to my front door. You know, so yes, with a prescription, you can take anabolic steroids. I was taking 325 milligrams of testosterone cypionate. My instructions were to take an injection of 1 cc every 5 days, and that's what I did. So that calculates to about, you know, 325 milligrams a week. I figure maybe 350, I don't know. You know, so anyways, guys, I gotta go to bed. I'm all about my sleep now. I'm all about my sleep. I did everything I could to try to wake up early and avoid sleep and stuff. Man, I love my sleep because it's the only part of my life that I get to thoroughly either just phase out or just like, I love sleep, you know, phase out and I just get to enjoy it. I don't have dreams or nightmares. I just don't dream. I mean, I do dream for maybe like an hour a night. But yeah, so what else has changed in 10 years? Well, you know, I remember 10 years ago, you could look at my body from any angle, any flex, and I tend to look decent. Now it's a lot more difficult to see the actual size on my bones. Some of the worst times of my life led to some of the best moments, you know. And all I have to say is thank you to those few of you who have supported me over the years in different ways, you know. And anyways, I'm going to talk to you guys later. And do I have anything else to say? I'm going to do what I love most, which is sleep. So I'll talk to you guys later.